Good morning. Welcome and thank you for being here today. This is actually the first meeting of a new initiative that we are going to begin here in DCR. We're going to begin meeting regularly every month, and the reason is to keep you updated on our department. So many wonderful things go on in DCR, and I know that you all work so hard sometimes and you're so focused on what you do that maybe sometimes you might not know everything that's happening here. And I will have to say that in 9 months on this job, I am still a little overwhelmed by how much does happen and how much goes on. But I first want to say thank you to you. And I want to say thank you because I continue to tell everyone that you are the best. Just last week, I was once again telling the governor and the cabinet, and if you ask them, they will tell you which is the best department in state government because they do hear it regularly. And I'm not the only one who recognizes this. As you may know, I'm the chairman of the SECC Combined Campaign this year overall, and as chairman, I receive regular updates from Mary Paisley about the campaign throughout the state of North Carolina. And I just want to read you part of what she wrote to me just yesterday in an email, and this is a report from everyone in the state that is working on this campaign. And it says, "Your own wonderful agency, DCR, produced a great, honest, straightforward video of people who follow their passion through the SECC. I shared that video on our Facebook page today and will also provide a link to it on our website as a great tool to help motivate other state agencies and state employees." So as you see, I'm very proud to say that you are a leader in this campaign. And you know what it means to be a true public servant. We are serving other people and we're helping other people. And I'll have to tell you, she sent me the link to the video that I opened today, and wow, it is just wonderful. It is so new and exciting, and I just could not be prouder of you. I do want to announce, speaking of the SECC here in DCR, that the charity fair will be in the lobby beginning Monday morning. So watch for your pledge forms. And also the auction will be here on the 3rd floor on November 6th. Just a couple of updates about the department in general. One is that the governor has asked me to make sure that DCR translates into economic development and job creation. And so I'm thrilled to say that I have been appointed as a member of the Economic Development Board for the state, and I'm thrilled that we have a voice in putting together the new economic development plan. We're working very hard on that. In the field of education, he also told me he wanted me to work in education to make sure that our children are all touched even more by what we do in cultural resources. And so I'm happy to tell you that Karen Cochran and Kevin Cherry and I have met with the state superintendent. We are meeting with the governor's education policy director, Eric Gucan, and we're coming up with some exciting new initiatives in addition to what we already are doing with education. Let me also tell you several other things that you might need to know about this department. First of all, we're very fortunate that the federal shutdown has not affected us. That although we do have some fully federally funded employees, because of exceptions that are made, we have not had to furlough anyone, and that is great news for us. We came out very well with that. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't say there's an advantage to this shutdown, but when people can't go to the national parks and museums, they can come to ours. So we may see an increase in our visitation. Speaking of visitation, congratulations to everyone for what you have done with your fascinating exhibits and interesting programs and welcoming guests. Visitation was up last summer, and I'm thrilled to report that. For the employees that are right here in Raleigh, let me just say thank you and apologize to you for having to endure the cold when the steam plant was shut down. It was really odd to be wearing, the sweaters and the warm clothes we wore when it was 90 degrees outside. We had to open our windows to let some warmth in. So thank you. I know it's difficult to stay in an office, especially sit in front of a computer if you're freezing. But thank you for that. And also thank you to those of you who have filled in at the front desk for our wonderful officer, Allison. She does such a great job, but she can't be there all the time, and I know you all have sacrificed to come out to help, and we're very grateful for what you do for that. Let me just mention quickly some special events that are coming up in this department that you don't want to miss. Tomorrow, the Museum of History across the street opens 2 exhibits, the Tsar's Cabinet and Windows into Heaven, showcasing 200 years of Russian decorative art and featuring religious art and icons, and it's going to be something to see. So make sure you get by there. It will run for several months, so actually through next March. So you've got some time, but make sure you don't miss that. Secondly, at SECA in Winston-Salem, which is, of course, the Southeastern Center for Contemporary Art. They will have a show, Graphic Design Now in Production, which opens October 24th and runs through February of 2014. Third, mark your calendars for the North Carolina Awards on November 21st. It's going to be bigger and better celebration this year, 6:30 p.m. at the Sheraton Imperial and Convention Center in Durham. The NC Awards have been given annually. This is the 50th year since 1964. And it goes to, of course, 6 individuals who have distinguished themselves and obtained notable accomplishments in the field of public service, science, literature, and fine arts. And it's the highest honor that the governor and the state of North Carolina can bestow. Fourth, last week the governor announced the 2014 North Carolina Heritage Award recipients, a signature program by the North Carolina Arts Council. Look for the program to be in May of 2014. Fifth, the North Carolina Symphony just launched its season. Make sure you get tickets because they're going fast. And we're also celebrating Director Grant Llewellyn's 10th anniversary. This is his 10th year, and I'm happy to say that he just signed a contract for another 5. So actually, I'm going to try to have him here to give a program about the symphony at our next meeting next month. The sixth thing is Family History Day, sponsored by the State Library and State Archives, will be held in this building on Saturday, October 26th. The fair opens at 9 a.m. and the program, starting at 10 a.m., offers presentations and a panel discussion about the types of evidence used to trace family ancestry, from public records to the mysterious world of DNA. And my last announcement is that last week, Raleigh welcomed the International Bluegrass Music Awards. It was one of the largest audiences in Raleigh's history that gathered to celebrate the grassroots arts culture of our state. Pinecone, one of the primary sponsors, along with the city, is one of the organizations that the North Carolina Arts Council supports. The IBMA event, combined with the Whirly Gig Park Project and the Theater District in Winston-Salem, is demonstrating the great value of arts to North Carolina communities. So now that all the announcements are done, I'm very excited to introduce one of the first of our 3 presentations. The first presentation today will be given by Dr. Larry Wheeler, who is, of course, the director of the North Carolina Museum of Art. Dr. Wheeler has been the director since October 1994. During his tenure, the museum has become one of the region's and the nation's most popular and dynamic centers for the visual and performing arts. Blockbuster exhibitions, including Rodin, sculpture from the Iris and B. Gerald Cantor Foundation, and Monet in Normandy, have attracted hundreds of thousands of visitors to the museum from across the nation and from across the world. Prior to joining the museum, Dr. Wheeler was Director of Development at the Cleveland Museum of Art from 1985 to 1994. From 1997 to 1985, he served as Deputy Secretary of our department right here. So he's come back home, and we're thrilled about that. And when he was here, he was responsible for overseeing the construction of the original Art Museum building. So with that, I'm very happy and honored to present to you Dr. Wheeler.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with the family this morning to talk about something I know very little about, automobiles. I think I have never even sat in a Porsche, much less driven one. But I'm going to tell you all about them this morning. in hopes that you'll come to the Museum of Art over the next 3 months and see truly one of the most spectacular exhibitions we've ever organized there. I've been dashing in and out of the exhibition hall all week because the cars have been rolling gently off trucks, and it's interesting to watch the art handlers who are generally handling precious small objects or fabulous paintings of the past, and they're dealing with these cars as if they are the most precious objects, with the white gloves and everybody gently moving them inches at a time onto platforms and onto little elevators, and they raise them up and they roll them into place. So the experience of watching the installation is as exciting as seeing them in place. And if my iPad will work, I've got a presentation to read to you. The exhibition opens next week. Of course, it'll be around to special parties, and for a good reason, because we have lenders from all over the world to this exhibition. So we want to honor the people who have lent their very precious cars, understanding, too, they drive these cars, and they win prizes with these cars, and so they're giving up their cars for 3 months in order for us in North Carolina to have this great experience, a great visual experience, I might add. The exhibition will then open to the public on October 12th, and it will be open free all day on October the 12th. It opens actually at 8:30 in the morning on Saturday, October the 12th. There's going to be a Porsche rally. Barb, you got to correct me on all this. It's called a Porsche meetup. So all Porsche owners, it's amazing how many people own Porsches, love Porsches in this community, in this state, in this region. So people will be driving their Porsches in from all over the southeast and the eastern seaboard, and they'll meet up at the museum on the first morning of the exhibition. So it's going to be really exciting, quite an experience. Open to the public, encourage everybody to come out that day and to have a first look at the exhibition. Okay, this is a fancy old car. This is a car from 1938. It's called the Berlin-Rome Racer, and it was designed by, which Porsche designed this car? Was it Ferry Porsche, or anyway, one of the original Porsche guys, and he designed this car for a road race from Berlin to Rome. But the road race never happened. Why? Because the war broke out, and they canceled the race. And this was one of 3 cars built according to this form. I don't know. You'll notice that, and I forget which button I'm supposed to push. Is that right? Is that right? And here it is as it appears sort of like in the Museum of Art. It's sort of the lead object into the exhibition. And this was made from the original parts of the Berlin-Rome Racer. Of the 3 Berlin-Rome Racers, 2 were destroyed by American GIs at the end of the Second World War. Porsche was a Nazi, and there were reasons that the GIs didn't particularly like what this symbolized, but one was saved, and this is the Porsche you will see in the exhibition at the Museum of Art. I might add, it was really hell getting this car from Europe. It was in a museum in Hamburg into the United States. We had all these problems with customs, with the Environmental Protection Agency, with the Federal Department of Transportation. It didn't meet emission standards. It didn't, So for a week, we were uncertain as to whether this car would even get to the United States. Then when it does, Customs calls and says, this car is so precious, we are not going to unload this car unless you bond us for $5 million. And I must say that Kateri Woodrum, our wonderful CFO, got on the phone with this woman at Customs, and she says, I'm so tired of everybody going to their U.S. senators and getting all this power into play. She says, we just don't respond to that sort of tactic. And Kateri says, would you please just let us? And she says, well, now that you asked me nicely. So a little sweet talk goes a long way, more powerful than politics in this case. This is a beautiful car, made in 1949. Everything I'm showing you is in the exhibition. This is Type 356 Gmünd Coupe, and it was the first car manufactured as a Porsche automobile for sale to the public. There were 50 Porsches of this type made in the small town of Gmünd, Austria, therefore the name. Lightweight aluminum body that is hand hammered over a wooden block. All these cars are handmade. This car is the 17th Porsche ever made. Know this guy, James Dean? He was driving his Porsche when he was killed on a mountain road outside of Asheville, North Carolina, which was really unfortunate. But it's always been a Porsche has always been a car of the stars, and James Dean had one, and of course Steve McQueen drove one in a movie and loved Porsches. And this is his Porsche, which is in the exhibition. It's a 1958 Type 356 Speedster 1600 Super. How would I ever know that? It was Steve McQueen's first race car. He sold the car and really missed it, so eventually he bought it back. And his son, Chad McQueen, owns the car and has lent it to the exhibition. In fact, Chad McQueen will be at one of the big parties next week when we open the exhibition. And here's a picture of Steve McQueen with Bruce Meyer, the person he bought the car back from. So it's got an interesting, all these cars have interesting stories back a lot. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends all drive Porsches. I must make amends. Janis Joplin bought this car, and then she had a roadie painted in psychedelic colors. And this is on loan to us from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. And we have installed this car in the new West building. It's the only Porsche we have there. We consider it high art. And so people will be teased into the exhibition across the way, we hope. But it's a great car to look at. I went over yesterday as it was being installed. This is a great, beautiful little car. It's a 1960 Type 718 RS60. It's the ultimate version of the 550 Spider, and it's the first of the 4-cam engines. It inspired the design of the Boxster later on, with which you are more familiar. That was some 30 years later. And this is a 1962 Formula One race car. It is so elegant. It's so beautiful. It looks like a toy, but it's not, I assure you. It was one of only 4 ever built. It was designed for the American driver Dan Gurney, who won the French Grand Prix in this car in 1962. But they stopped making this car after 1 year. You might note the lack of safety features in the car, so probably a very good idea. Now this is really the beginning of the fabulous story of Porsche. Most people know the 911. This is the 901, 1963 Type 901 prototype. It's one of only 13 prototypes in existence. And it's the only one known, or the 13 prototypes made, it's the only one known to exist today. So this is a very unique car. It's interesting, too, because keep in mind this was made in 1963. This is 2013. So this is the 50th anniversary of the creation of the iconic Porsche form, the 901, which became the 911. This particular car belongs to collectors Don and Diane Maluzio, and what's interesting, it just has won the Best in Class and the Best Historic Car at Pebble Beach, which is the great auto meet that determines who's good and who's better and who's best. This is the best. All right, North Carolina. This is a 1974 IROC Type 911 Carrera RSR. Got that? This one was driven by, among other folks, NASCAR Rookie of the Year in 1960, David Pearson. Wait, did I get that right? No. Forget everything I just said. Okay. This is a 1971 Type 917K. I knew you knew better. So, this probably brought more racing victories than any other Porsche racing car. And what is so great about this car, I went in several times and looked at it yesterday because all the cars are so pristine. You know, they're like little jewels. They're beautiful objects, and you don't see a single mark on any of the cars. This one's all beat up. You know, there are scratches everywhere, and it carrying its history. The chips for when it was, it was raced only once in 1971. From one race, you see the wear and tear on a single car. And it's just an amazing object to see in the exhibition. And then we have films of it racing, and there's all sorts of action going on in the exhibition as well. I don't know if I know how to back up. You see all those cars in different colors? Well, that's important because this car was one of those cars made in all those different colors, and they made this car. How many were made? 12 of these cars were made, all in different colors, and they were given each to different racers, and they were all put in a race. And it must have been quite a colorful little race. But the one we have is this car, and it's the one that was painted Mexico blue. And was the one driven by David Pearson, the guy I told you drove the other car, but he didn't. He drove this car. So that's in the exhibition. This is a beautiful, this is the 1989 Panamericana concept car. It was given to, am I saying this right? Am I on? I see Jen Baez, and she will tell me if I'm wrong. At least she's supposed to. But this car was done for the 80th birthday of Ferry Porsche, and it was a concept car built over a Carrera 4 production chassis. It has dune buggy fenders. It has a zip-off top. And the interesting thing to me is the tire tread is made out of Porsche logos. So you have to go and look underneath and see the Porsche logos on the tire tread. It's one of a kind, one of a kind. And the great thing about this car, it was lent by the Porsche Museum, and it's the only time this type of car has ever been seen in the United States before. So this is a one chance only. This is a 1988 Type 959. This is on loan from Ralph Lauren. He has a fabulous automobile collection. He collects cars, not paintings. He told Vanity Fair, "You can't drive a painting." And it's his first supercar with cutting-edge suspension, four-wheel drive, computer-controlled transmission. Only 300 were ever made, only 50 in this country. And Mr. Lauren lent the car. We were hoping he would come to our parties next week. He's going to be in Europe, but he's promised to come to see the exhibition while it is in North Carolina. So we'll let you know, and we'll tell him to bring some samples. Little trunk show at the Art Museum. This is the 2005 Carrera GT. It's Porsche's first supercar of the 21st century. Has a top speed of 200 miles per hour. Mid-engine designs. It's just a beautiful design standout. There's the interior of that car. And the wonderful thing about this, and we will have hoods up days periodically so that you can see into the cars and see the engines, and we will announce when that will be. But, you know, every detail of a Porsche is a work of art, including the parts of the engine, including the beautiful interior design, the gear shift, the panel, the steering wheel, everything is so beautifully crafted and conceived. This is the 2010 Type 911 GT3R hybrid race car prototype. Got that? 672 horsepower, has 2 electric engines, and a gasoline-powered motor. Dr. Porsche designed this first serial hybrid car at the turn of the century, and we come full circle with, and you know, it's interesting that he did design a hybrid as one of the first automobiles, and we've come to the point that now we will have this great hybrid car with all of the technology of the 21st century incorporated, and it will be one of the final cars in the exhibition. And so, the exhibition, 22 cars. I didn't show all of them to you, but I showed you the range. Each one is a work of art without question. We're having a wonderful partnership with the College of Design at NC State, who's doing a lot of education programming around this exhibition. They're so excited to have this exhibition in order to focus on their product design program at North Carolina State. And we're just so excited that we're going to be greeting visitors from all around the world. I've had people from hotels tell me that on certain weekends they've already completely sold out the entire hotel for different Porsche meetup events, so it's going to have a terrific impact on the economy of North Carolina. We're selling tickets to people all over the United States already, and to people in Europe, and people will be coming from everywhere. And the wonderful thing is that when they come here, we get to show off not only the Museum of Art, but all of our cultural resources in the Triangle and all of our great museums. And that's what it's all about, is to give them a sense of the high quality of the entire community and really what North Carolina's true values are. Thank you.
Thank you to Larry Wheeler. You know, we are so lucky to have him. He is known throughout the world for his work as an art director, for his expertise as well as his enthusiasm. Now, who else could get that excited about cars? When he told me beforehand, he really never had cared much about cars, but you couldn't tell it, could you? So I think that's great. We're all looking forward to everybody. Make sure you get out to see that. Our next guest works right here in this building as our State Library Director, Cal Shepard, and we're thrilled to have her. She came here to be the librarian in February of 2012. Before that, she was Program Director of Consulting Services and Regional Director for the Southeast at Lyrasis. From 1999 to 2006, she managed the Educational Services Program at Solinet. Prior to that, she served as Chief of Library Development at the State Library of North Carolina. Previous experience includes positions at the Forsyth County Public Library in Winston-Salem and the Nantahala Regional Library in Murphy, North Carolina. And she's going to tell you some of the exciting things that are going on with the libraries. Cal.
Well, Larry is a hard act to follow, as you can imagine. While I'm waiting, I want to give a shout out to my class that we're all in performance management training with Elaine Kubich this morning. And we broke class to all come so I could, and they're here listening. So hi, guys. Okay. Go 5. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Jay. I'm here today to talk a little bit about the State Library and how we support the governor's 3 E's that we talk about a lot. And so one of the ways that the State Library does that is via the public libraries in the state. And there are a lot of public libraries in North Carolina. We have 80 systems comprising 385 buildings, various and sundry mobile units. And yes, we have a library. There is a public library in Manteo, and there is also one in Murphy. So state library staff work with those libraries to bring about all kinds of programs to help them do what they do better, but also to bring about statewide programs when we see a statewide need. And so I want to start by going back in history just a little bit and telling you about a program that we started in 2009. And that was when the economy really started going south. And because of the nature of the workforce in this state, North Carolina was hit really hard. The state library said there's something that we can do to help our public libraries help the people in their communities who are losing their jobs and looking for new jobs. Quite a number of people don't have access to computers at home. They don't have their own computers, or they don't have connectivity. You can't even apply for a job at Walmart now with a piece of paper anymore. It's all on computer. So we knew as people were losing their jobs that they were going to be coming to their local library saying, "Can I use your computer to apply for a job?" And so we geared up at the state level to help those libraries. So we developed partnerships with the Department of Commerce, the Employment Security Commission. We said, what do we need to do to help these libraries help their patrons? We designed a program with input from those other departments to help libraries, which we encouraged libraries to form local partnerships. So don't try to go it alone. You have an Employee Security Commission right in your county, work with them. So we pointed out who those partners could be and helped libraries form those partnerships on a local level. We developed a curriculum to train library staff members in job-seeking skills in particular, and we had those workshops all over the state. 296 public library staff people attended those, and those were co-presented with local employment security commissions and other agencies like that. We created this massive job search toolkit that is still online today and is being kept up to date with activities, with with resources and information that libraries can use and can point their patrons to. You need to find a job. Here's a listing of jobs that are open. You need help writing a resume. All of those kinds of things can be found on the job search toolkit. All three the different involved state agencies also pulled their resources and gave libraries a little bit of money so that they could actually buy some materials on how to write a resume, how to retool and learn new skills. A lot of the people that these libraries were working with had worked in, say, a textile mill for 20 years. I mean, they thought that was going to be their only job in life. It was a pretty rough transition for some people who suddenly, what they knew how to do best, that wasn't good enough anymore. There was nobody hiring. Their skills were not needed. They had to retool, learn new skills, and start over. So what are the results of that program? Well, we think they were pretty impressive. These local partnerships were founded, and they are still thriving today. Library patrons are successfully finding jobs. We're hearing this. We're seeing this. If you go to some libraries, when it's time to open, you will see the crowds of people outside the doors waiting for the doors to open so that they can come in and use those computers. The project was so successful that it received national attention and it won national awards. Probably the coolest thing is that the Institute of Museum and Library Services were very impressed with this project, and they thought, well, there's other states in the country that are also in distress that could also benefit from this. Let's roll this out nationwide. They came to North Carolina, they used our expertise, they used our state library staff to go around the nation and train librarians from other states. Here's how we did it in North Carolina. Here's how you can do it too. So that is a project that started here but turned into a national model. One other thing that that project afforded us was a great model that we can use in-house to fairly quickly get up to speed ourselves, form those partnerships, and help public libraries get up to speed on an issue, say like maybe the Affordable Care Act. We knew when this was passed that patrons would be coming into libraries and saying, I got to sign up for this, and I don't have a computer, and I don't know how to work a computer, and I don't know how to sign up. You got to help me. So not responding really wasn't an option, because those people were going to be at the door of their public libraries regardless. So we followed the workforce development model. And this has been done on a very short time frame, people. I can just, that we haven't had a lot of time to design this because it's being designed as we're getting the project out to our public libraries. State Library staff hosted 5 workshops over 5 days from Wilmington up to Asheville, 4 library staff members from public libraries. About 200 people attended, and this was to help those libraries wrap their heads around what is the Affordable Care Act, what is the proper role of the public library in advising people, because we're not the navigators. The federal government has designated counselors and navigators, and they're actually providing some funding for these people in local areas to sign up citizens who want to sign up for the Affordable Care Act. That is not the role of the public library. We provide access, we provide resources, but we can't tell you which plan you need to get. So we're not even trying to go there. In these workshops, we invited local navigators, and I mentioned these 3 workshops just as an example to show you how dispersed the navigators are. They're all over local government. They're in different places. I live in, I don't know, Forsyth County. Where do I need to go? Is it the Council on Aging or the League of Women Voters or the Legal Aid? I don't know. You can go to your public library and find that information out. We once again created the website of resources, and that has already been getting a whole lot of attention. These blue tabs at the top, there is a lot of information on this website, and it's being added to almost on a daily basis because this. Did you read the paper on October 1st when all the websites kept crashing because of the amount of traffic that people were trying to go into these websites? It's a big project, so this is a big website to try to encompass all of that information. So all of this was designed to help local libraries be prepared to meet the needs of their customers when they come in and ask for assistance with the Affordable Care Act. I got one cool piece of local library feedback I wanted to share with you. And public libraries really are entities of their local communities. And so Library A and Library B are not at all alike, and nor should they try to be, because the communities are different. Community A and Community B are totally different too. What this has allowed this one local library to do is to position themselves as the go-to place for Affordable Care Act information. And this is even with all the local partners and the designated navigators. The public library is stepping up to the plate and saying, here's a need that we see in the community, and we're going to do what we can to meet it. And they are. So if you yourself have questions, you might think about going to the Wake County Public Library. We're monitoring the situation because it does continue to develop, and we're going to try to be in a position to help public libraries be ready for whatever comes next, and who knows what that might be. But one thing I do want to talk about, we've talked about how we're serving public libraries. I want to talk about how we can serve you, because the state library also has a library. we have a library, and we give out library cards. How many of you have a state library card? Whoa, I am thrilled. Woo, that is great. Well, so you may not need this little refresher on what we can do for you, but I'm going to give it anyway. Here are some of the ways that we've helped other state agencies, other state employees in the past. Tracking down information from the 1950s for the Department of Justice. I mean, I would have just thrown my hands up and said, that doesn't exist anymore. You just can't get it. No, you can if you come to the state library. Helping the Museum of History with population data for their Emancipation Proclamation visit. Hey, maybe we even gave Larry some information about historic cars. You know, could have happened. Information about Indian tribes to help authenticate treaty obligations. I mean, that's some pretty heavy stuff there. I'm impressed. So what can we do for you? Well, let me tell you. You have access to a whole bunch of databases with your state library card. People think because it's on the internet that it's right. Nah, I'm sorry, it's not. If you really want scholarly information and information that you know is correct, you probably want to check a database that we're paying top dollar for, but we're making it available to you for absolutely free. So, for instance, access to more than 2,000 academic journals, archaeology of Eastern North America. Did you even know such a journal existed? American Historical Review, all kinds of titles that could help you do your job. The Civil War database is amazing. Newspapers of all kinds in digital format. And just even going back and looking at the ads in those old newspapers when you had a little tonic for if you were a little tired in the afternoon, and you read the fine print and it's basically, I don't know, something totally illegal today. NC Live has databases that are available. That's a statewide project, and that's got art and architecture complete. Digital Sanborn maps, those are really cool, historic maps. Heritage Quest, if any of you are amateur genealogists, you can use that. The Wall Street Journal, for instance. You also have access to a lot of information from your desktop. You don't even have to come into the library. We maintain the North Carolina Encyclopedia, and we're adding to it daily. We just signed an agreement with UNC Press to start loading the NC Gazetteer information. So if you don't know where some place is, check NCpedia and you'll be able to find that out. We have all kinds of census data, and we can manipulate that data in interesting ways for you to help you get the data you need to prove a point or to make a decision. Lots of government information online. The state library is the place that we preserve government publications, so we go back in history and have a lot of information from the past that might be of use to you. If you can't find something that you need for your job, you can interlibrary loan it. This is the best perk going, guys. I've got a request out there right now. You want to read a book for your job, you want to get some information, we can get it for you. If we don't own it, we can borrow it. If somebody will loan it, we will borrow it for you. And that's not just books, that's also articles, microfilm. So you want to write down this URL, this address, because that is the state library, and those are the people who can really help you. And if you're not sure if we can help you, ask, because they'll be able to tell you. So I hope we see a real spike in use as a result. Thank you.
Wow, we are so fortunate to have Cal. Everywhere I go around the state, librarians come up to me and say, her leadership is tremendous. She's doing such a great job. And I can tell you, too, as someone who was mayor of a small city in the Piedmont when manufacturing went away, And actually, I actually had, this Pilatex was the largest plant closing, which affected people, over 1,500 people in my county. And I had people coming to me, employees coming to me saying, you've got to stop this closing before it happened. And I mean, and I got to a point where I was overwhelmed by these people who were so desperate and didn't know what to do. And so I've seen firsthand in a community what libraries did, how they stepped up, and I'm so proud that they do step up when they see a need. And now with the Affordable Health Care Act, I just told the governor and cabinet yesterday and was so proud to brag about the fact that there is somebody to help people in this state that are so confused about what to do, people that don't have computers, don't know how to use them. So thank you so much, and your staff, everyone who contributes to this. Now for our third presentation. I am just thrilled to be able to announce that one of our own was recognized internationally last week right here in Raleigh, and you're going to be the first to hear from him since then. Joe Newberry was honored by the International Bluegrass Music Association for his collaborative work on the 2013 Bluegrass Song of the Year, They Call It Music, recorded by the Gibson Brothers as an album title track. In 2012, Joe won the IBMA Award for Best Gospel Song, Singing As We Rise, recorded by the Gibson Brothers and Ricky Skaggs. A frequent guest on Garrison Keillor's A Prairie Home Companion, and I believe that'll be again on Sunday, correct? Live. Tune in for that. Joe writes songs that consistently show up on the bluegrass charts, does solo and studio work, and teaches and performs at festivals at home and abroad. In addition to his songwriting abilities, he's known for his soulful singing and his nimble playing the banjo and guitar, and he's recorded music with several groups, including Red K Ramblers and Big Medicine. Just last week, I saw him perform at the Mamandi Concert Hall, playing his banjo alongside the symphony and banjo legend Bella Fleck. And he did a really incredible job. Now here in his day job with us, I'm happy to say, he is the communications manager for the North Carolina Symphony. He previously served as public information officer right here in DCR for 6 years after working on the NC Arts Council communications team for 5 years. So it's my pleasure to present to you Mr. Joe Newberry. Welcome.
So, when I was a young man, I had the pleasure of getting to hang out and play music with Grandpa Jones. And Grandpa taught me a lot about music. He also taught me a lot about how to be. And one of the best things he ever told me was, son, never make people happy twice. Once when you start and once when you stop. So my time with you will be brief, but what I'll do is I'll tell you a little bit about how the song came to be given this award. And if you want to talk about somebody who was thrilled, I was thrilled. And I was thinking about it, that my work life and my music life share something in that I am blessed to work with and play with some of the best people in the world at what they do. And so you can't go wrong when you have that. And I'm proud. I've left Cultural Resources, the main department, but the Symphony is awfully proud to be a key part of Cultural Resources. So, you know, one of the things about playing my kind of music, the old-time and traditional music, is that you have to ask the question of folks, well, like I asked this older guy in Mount Airy, I said, what did you call this? You know, what did you call this 60 years ago? Did you call it bluegrass? Did you call it old time? Did you call it country? And he looked at me like I had two heads. And he said, son, we called it music. And so I was talking with Eric Gibson of the Gibson Brothers, and out of that conversation came this song. And I'm proud of those boys. Those are good boys. And if you get the chance to see them, you will have a great experience. And when Eric and I did this song, I never dreamed that it would win an award. I never dreamed that it would be the #1 album on the bluegrass charts right now. And so if you get the chance to hear Eric do it, that'll be best. But for now, I'll do it for you. was steeped in the old-time way. The sounds he made was stirring, it was magic, it was fun. When I asked what it was called back when, he smiled and he said, son, they called it music in the church house in the fields. It was honest, it was simple, and it helped the hard times heal. It was music, sang it deep down in the mines, in dark and lonesome prison cells and behind battle lines. They called it music. Fiddle tunes, Saturdays in town, stayed in our heads and in our hearts all week came to town. I swear that they're still with me, I can feel it when I play. Wasn't all about the money like it is today. They called it music in the church house in the fields. It was honest, it was simple, and it helped the hard times heal. It was music, sang it deep down in the mines, in dark and lonesome prison cells and behind battle lines. They called it music. And you didn't need to read a word to memorize a hymn. Way down in your soul, you know a seed was sown within. There's a power in the old songs I know will never fade. So love them like your children and don't let them get away. They called it music in the church house in the fields. It was honest, it was simple, it helped the hard times heal. It was music, sang it deep down in the mines, in dark and lonesome prison cells and behind battle lines. They called it music.